Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the What If guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Issei was son of Hades? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. In this story, Sasha is the sister of Tetma. Issei is the son of Hades and Sasha, making him a god. Issei will be betrayed by the occult club and his adoptive family. He will have a sister named Issei, who possesses magic. This story takes place after the rescue of Asia, and since then Issei has been training. During one of his training sessions, he discovers the balance breaker. 243 years ago, long before the three factions and even before the birth of the dragon gods, the Great Red, Ophis, and the Trihexa, a fierce battle raged between Hades, the king of the underworld, and Athena, the goddess of war. This war continued for centuries. The events unfolded similarly to the canon, with the release of Alone and the sacrifice of three friends. What they did not know was that Hades had fallen in love with the reincarnation of Athena from that time, who was Sasha. Hades carried Sasha's soul and body to his chambers, where her original body rested in the Elysian fields. Sasha began to awaken, and the first thing she noticed was a beautiful place. She turned to see Hades, the god, and quickly went on guard for any potential attack. Hades reassured her, stating that he meant no harm. Sasha, still suspicious, asked where they were. Hades remained silent for a moment before explaining that they were in his resting place during the mythological era, the Elysian fields. Sasha questioned why she was there, believing she had died alongside her brother and best friend. Hades confirmed her death but revealed that he had saved her and brought her there. Sasha was confused and asked why he had saved her, considering he was the god of death. Hades admitted that since he met her, he felt a need to protect her, something he had never experienced before. Sasha was taken aback by his words but quickly masked her embarrassment and suggested that she understood what he was feeling. Hades urged her to tell him if she knew. Sasha explained that he was experiencing the feeling of love. Hades was perplexed and asked how he could rid himself of this feeling. Sasha told him that love could not be removed. Hades then inquired about what he should do, and Sasha advised him to find his soulmate. Hades asked how he could do that, and Sasha revealed that he had already found her, pointing out that she was right in front of him. Hades realized that she was his soulmate. 2 years later, Sasha and Hades had married and welcomed their first child. Sasha admired their beautiful baby and asked Hades what they should name him. Hades pondered a fitting name for the prince of the underworld and suggested Issei. Sasha agreed that Issei was a lovely name but expressed concern about what would happen if his brothers found out about their child, fearing they would try to harm him. Knowing that their peace would not last forever, Sasha and Hades made the difficult decision to send Issei to the human world, where they entrusted him to a newlywed couple, the Hades. 17 years later, in a small 2-story house, a mother called for her son. She urged Issei to get up so he wouldn't be late for the academy. Issei responded that he was getting ready and would be down shortly. His mother reminded him to hurry, warning him that he would face consequences if he was late. After a brief breakfast, Issei left for school, feeling neglected by his parents, who seemed to favor his younger sister. He hurried along the streets of Kwa, contemplating why his parents treated him poorly while his sister received affection. He realized he needed to pick up the pace to avoid being late. An hour later, in his classroom, Issei sat bored as his friends Matsuda and Motojama suggested they spy on the girls, claiming to have found a great spot. Issei hesitated, explaining that he couldn't risk punishment from Rias, the club leader, recalling a previous incident where he had been reprimanded for similar behavior. Kiba acknowledged the president's command. Rias instructed him to tie someone up behind the club, warning that it would be a punishment he would never forget. A while later, Issei was seen writhing in pain from the consequences of his actions. Akino remarked that this was what happened to those who spied on the girls, while she used her powers to teach him a lesson. Rias called out to Issei, instructing her to contact their parents and inform them that they would be late due to her troublesome brother. Issei complied, understanding that this would serve as a lesson for Issei not to embarrass her. Later, Issei was visibly injured, and 3 girls approached him. One expressed horror at what Rias had done, stating she barely recognized her. Another suggested they should take him to get treated, and the third agreed. Since that day, the student council had helped Issei heal his wounds, and even Sona's sister had advised him to leave Rias's group and join hers. The day passed normally for Issei. At home, his mother expressed surprise at his grades but questioned why he couldn't be more like his sister, Isami. His father congratulated Isami on her excellent performance, and Issei, hearing their praise, retreated to his room, feeling unappreciated and constantly compared to his sister. Drake reassured him, noting that his parents didn't recognize his worth. Issei wondered if Drake had found a way to extract the pieces without causing harm. Drake admitted he hadn't yet but encouraged him not to lose hope. Issei thanked Drake for his support and explained that his decision to join the group was due to his sister's magical influence. Drake realized that it was Rias who had sensed his power when she came to drop off his sister. They both acknowledged that while Rias and Isami had their strengths, they were unaware of Issei's true potential as the Security. Drake reminded Issei to be cautious and avoid getting into trouble with his mother. The chapter concluded. The next day, our favorite protagonist entered the academy. Issei hoped for a peaceful day, wishing nothing unusual would happen. Meanwhile, two figures observed a young man with chestnut hair. One of them expressed concern about their son, unable to bear the sight of his suffering. The other, named Hades, agreed but warned that demons were likely plotting something involving their child. Hades called for Pandora, instructing her to go to the human world and bring their son back, sensing that something was about to happen to him. Back with Issei, he shared a troubling feeling with Drake, who also sensed something was off. They decided to enter the club, but upon opening the door, they found it dark and empty. Suddenly, Kiba appeared and struck Issei, causing him to kneel. The lights flickered on, revealing their classmates and Issei's parents. Issei was bewildered, questioning the situation. Rias coldly explained that she was getting rid of him, stating that he was no longer useful. Akino added that it was time to say goodbye. Issei pleaded with his sister, Isami, but she confirmed that Rias was right and that their parents were in agreement. She even struck him, revealing that they were aware of the supernatural and that he was not truly their son. Rias dismissed him as pathetic, and Kiba and Kaneko restrained him while she prepared to extract his pieces. Magical circles formed around Issei, and he felt a painful sensation as pieces of himself were removed, leaving him weakened. Rias ordered her companions to dispose of him, and they vanished, leaving Issei unconscious on the ground. In the forest, Kiba expressed a wish for Issei to perish, leaving him behind as they departed. Drake warned Issei to stay alert, but Issei wondered if someone from the club was coming to finish him off. Suddenly, a woman with purple hair and fair skin emerged from the trees, dressed in black. Issei questioned her intentions, but before he could finish, he lost consciousness. Hours later, Issei awoke, confused about his surroundings and calling for Drake. Drake confirmed he was still with him but had no idea where they were. A mysterious voice introduced itself as Hades and informed Issei that he was in the Elysian Fields, his true home. Issei was shocked, realizing that only good-hearted individuals were supposed to arrive there. Hades reassured him that he was not dead and invited him to meet someone who wanted to see him. As they walked, Drake cautioned Issei to remain vigilant, recalling the earlier attack. Issei wondered if they could trust Hades, who was indeed the god of the underworld, known for his cruelty. Issei was taken aback by this revelation but resolved to defend himself if necessary. Upon arriving, Hades began to introduce Issei to two women, but before he could finish, one rushed forward, crying and embracing him. It was Sasha, who expressed how much she had missed him. Issei was bewildered, struggling to understand what was happening. Hades revealed that he and Sasha were Issei's true parents, stating it matter-of-factly without considering Issei's shock. After a moment, Hades urged Issei to calm down. Issei apologized for his reaction and asked for clarification about his parents. Hades explained how he and Sasha had met and the reasons they had to leave him with the Hayadu family. Issei began to understand, and Hades asked if he was upset with them for leaving him with a family that hadn't given him the love he deserved. Issei expressed that he was not angry. Instead, he felt happiness knowing his parents had always cared for him, and he broke down in tears. Sasha approached and embraced him lovingly, assuring him that they were there for him and encouraging him to express his feelings. Issei expressed his gratitude with a sweet smile, feeling overwhelmed with happiness. After a moment filled with tears, he announced to his parents that he had to introduce them to his friend and companion, a dragon sealed within him. A green gem formed from Issei's arm and began to speak, introducing itself as Drake and expressing pleasure in meeting them, especially Hades, though with a hint of fear. Hades reassured Drake with a laugh, saying he would not cause any harm and thanked him for taking care of his son. Another figure, a man with white hair, remarked that their prince had returned. Another voice chimed in, cautioning the first to be careful with his words, but the first responded with laughter, claiming he spoke out of happiness. Issei, curious, asked who they were. One of the men introduced himself as Hypnos, while the other identified himself as Thanatos. Hades explained that these two were his advisors and loyal comrades, alongside his right hand, Pandora. Issei, puzzled, inquired about Pandora. Hades explained that she was the woman who brought him there and that she was like a little sister to him. Issei then curiously asked about the strange things protruding from their shoulders. Hades explained that they were merely their armors. The three of them removed their cloaks to reveal their armors, prompting Issei to express his amazement and curiosity about them. Hades took the opportunity to explain how the armors were created and their various levels. Issei was astonished, never having imagined that other armors existed. With determination, Issei declared that he could create his own armor and called upon Drake. Drake responded affirmatively, and Issei activated his balance breaker, forming a red armor around him. Hades was impressed and decided to train Issei to awaken his divine powers. Feeling overwhelmed with information, Issei announced his intention to sleep. Sasha offered to accompany him to his room, while Hades chose to stay and converse with Hypnos and Thanatos. Once in his room, Drake expressed disbelief that Issei's parents were gods. Issei shared his own astonishment and wondered what Albion's bearer would think upon learning of his lineage. Drake mentioned that he only knew Albion was with the fallen angels. Issei anticipated a long day ahead, filled with training, and Drake encouraged him to rest. Meanwhile, another figure observed the situation, intrigued by the news of Hades having a son. This person, Poseidon, was asked by another what he planned to do about the boy. Poseidon replied that as long as the boy did not cause trouble, he had no plans, recalling that he too had children and that Zeus had his own. Back with Issei, he awoke feeling refreshed and remarked on the absence of the woman who used to wake him early. He decided to check on his parents. Drake, with a serious tone, asked what Issei would do about the traitors. Issei expressed gratitude towards them, explaining that without their betrayal, he would never have met his true parents. Drake agreed and decided to continue resting. 5 minutes later, Sasha greeted Issei, asking how he slept, while Hades inquired if he was ready for training. Issei confirmed he had rested well and was ready. Sasha invited him to join them for breakfast. After their meal, Issei asked Hades where they would be training. Hades explained that they would go to a dimension where time passed more quickly, and they would train for 120 years. Issei was startled at the thought of aging significantly during that time, but Hades reassured him that he would not age, only his power would change, and in the real world, only a few months would pass. Issei felt excitement at the prospect of training to protect his loved ones. Hades acknowledged his enthusiasm and stated it was time to depart. Sasha bid them to take care of themselves as Hades opened a portal for them to enter. Inside the portal, Issei marveled at the incredible surroundings. Hades reminisced about his own first experience in that place. Issei, still curious, asked how they would train. Hades explained that they would spend the first 40 years mastering hand-to-hand combat, the next 40 learning to control his divine power, and the final 40 focusing on strengthening his knowledge. Issei felt a mix of fear and determination, sensing the challenges ahead. Hades, with a mischievous smile, warned Issei that he would not receive special treatment just because he was his son, hinting that the training would indeed be intense. Issei, feeling a bit scared, called out for his mother. Meanwhile, Sasha sensed someone calling her name in the distance. It must be my imagination. And so began Issei's long journey of training. In the first 40 years, Issei learned various styles of hand-to-hand combat, sword fighting, and even how to access the Jungensut drive with the booster gear without losing his lifespan. During the next 40 years, Issei focused on mastering control over the cosmos. Although it was challenging at first, he eventually matched his father's level of skill and fully mastered the Jungensut drive. However, he still found himself unable to rival his father. In the final 40 years of training, Hades concentrated on teaching Issei about Greek culture, including the origins of the Holy War against Athena. He also shared additional knowledge, revealing that the biblical god had perished alongside the original Maus and how the rivalry with the White Emperor Dragon began. 5 months had passed in the human world. During this time, the BGMI group faced worsening circumstances upon learning of the arranged marriage with the Phoenix family. Issei reflected on the past 5 months since losing his beloved brother. He regretted not helping him that day. He should have intervened. His brother had no magic or anything of the sort, and now he realized that dragging him into the supernatural world had been a grave mistake. Even his parents regretted saying he was adopted, and Rias, the president, had unknowingly developed feelings for him. Unfortunately for her, she was now married to a man named Razor Phoenix. Back to the protagonist, Hades expressed his pride in Issei for surviving the past 120 years, while Issei admitted he thought he might not make it through the first part. Hades encouraged him to stop complaining and suggested they leave, as his mother would be worried. As they exited, Issei unconsciously raised his aura, alerting all factions around them. In the underworld, Graphia sensed the immense power and felt frightened. Surzek hoped that whoever possessed that power was not an enemy. In Grigory, Assassel wondered about the source of the tremendous power, while Vale questioned if he could defeat it. Assassel advised against confronting it. In the heavens, Michael and Gabriel sensed the immense power as well and hoped it did not belong to an enemy. Back with Issei, he greeted his mother joyfully and embraced her. Sasha was relieved and asked how their time had been. Hades proudly announced he had found his successor. Issei was surprised and asked if Hades intended to retire as the god of the underworld. Hades confirmed his desire for a peaceful life with his family. Issei realized he would be commanding the 108 specters, but Hades reassured him he would help. Sasha, however, reminded Hades not to exaggerate. Sasha insisted that Issei return to the academy the next day, wanting him to continue his studies. Issei accepted that he would eventually have to face his challenges but decided to rest for the moment. Later, in Issei's room, he wondered what Drake would think about his return. Drake had no idea but was curious about how Issei felt about becoming the new ruler of the underworld. Issei admitted it was a new experience for him and decided to rest for the long day ahead. The next morning, Issei greeted his parents and joined them for breakfast. Hades asked how he felt about returning to the academy, and Issei admitted to feeling a bit nervous, especially since he didn't know how to perform magic circles. Hades assured him not to worry and encouraged him to eat. 20 minutes later, Hades prepared to teach Issei how to open a portal from anywhere to their location. He opened a dimensional gateway and instructed Issei to think of where he wanted to appear. Issei was amazed by the dimension and entered, picturing a nearby alley close to the academy. In seconds, he arrived at his intended location and marveled at the experience. At the academy, the professor announced that a student was rejoining the class and invited Issei to enter. The students murmured in curiosity as Issei, a familiar face, walked in. The professor recognized him but was confused about his surname, which Issei corrected to Sacristan. Asia, a certain nun, thought she needed to inform Rias and Issei about Issei's return. Classes proceeded normally until recess, when Asia rushed out, prompting Issei to speculate about her destination. Drake agreed that she was likely heading to the BGMI group, and Issei decided to remain uninvolved as long as they left him alone. Drake pointed out that would be difficult to achieve. In the occult club, Rias was seated, reviewing documents when Asia burst in. Rias questioned her abrupt entrance, and Asia excitedly revealed news about Issei's return. Before she could elaborate, Issei interrupted, demanding to know if Asia had found Issei. Asia confirmed that he had arrived at the academy that day. Rias was shocked and exclaimed in disbelief. End of the chapter. A week had passed since Issei returned to the academy, and during that time, the Gremry group had tried everything to get him to join their club. Issei felt frustrated by their constant pursuit. Drake asked him what he planned to do about the situation, while Hades inquired about what was bothering him. Issei explained that ever since he returned, members of his old club had been looking for him, and he was unsure how to handle it. Hades understood that these demons were the source of his troubles. At that moment, Sasha entered with a tray holding 3 cups of tea and asked what was going on. Issei dismissed it as just school problems, but Sasha suspected it had to do with the demons at the academy. Hades agreed, and Sasha suggested that Issei should find out what they wanted. Issei admitted he would go, but the thought of facing one of their members made him want to confront them aggressively. Hades supported his opinion but reminded him that violence wasn't the answer. Sasha encouraged Issei to see what they wanted, hoping it would ease his mind. Grateful for their advice, Issei decided to settle things with them the next day. After taking their leave, he felt tired and went to rest. In his room, Drake reminded him not to dwell too much on the issue until the next day. Issei agreed and decided to rest as well. The next day, Issei entered his classroom, feeling that it would be a long day. Classes went by normally until break time, when he found a spot under a tree to enjoy the meal his mother had prepared. He thought to himself that his mother's cooking was far better than the cafeteria's. His peace was interrupted by Asia, who asked if he could accompany her to the club. Issei agreed, and they headed to the club together. Upon arrival, Asia knocked on the door, and they waited until a voice from inside invited them in. Rias thanked Asia for bringing Issei and began to explain why she had called him, but Issei interrupted, expressing his disinterest in what she had to say. Issei, Rias's sister, reminded him that he shouldn't speak to the president that way. Issei retorted that he spoke how he pleased and insisted that she never call him brother again. Rias was taken aback by his words, and Issei, feeling frustrated, decided to leave. Just as he was about to open the door, Akino interrupted him, asking for forgiveness for the pain she had caused. Issei dismissed her apologies, stating he wasn't interested. In that moment, Issei used her magic to paralyze Issei, pleading for forgiveness and expressing how much their parents and she missed him, nearly in tears. Issei, feeling a surge of power, summoned a sword, and everyone felt the immense energy radiating from it. He pointed the blade at Issei, warning her that if she ever referred to their parents again, he would not hesitate to act. Issei, frightened by his power, could only nod in response. Issei declared that if that was all they had to say, he would take his leave. Drake questioned whether Issei was overreacting by releasing his power. Issei disagreed, and Rias, realizing who he was, expressed her surprise. Drake confirmed that Issei was indeed his partner. Issei asserted that he was the security, and Rias demanded he return to her as her pawn. Issei laughed at the notion, reminding her that she had cast him out of her clan. Rias insisted that she demanded it as his master, but Issei firmly stated he was no one's pawn. With that, Issei left the occult club, leaving Rias to regret her past decisions and how she had treated him. Issei mused to Drake about the absurdity of being her pawn, while Drake reminded him that he once was. Issei acknowledged that it was in the past and that she failed to appreciate what she had. Drake agreed, noting it was similar to Issei's own family situation. As classes resumed, Issei found himself bored and impatiently waiting for the bell to ring. When it finally did, the teacher announced the end of class, and students rushed out of the room. Meanwhile, in the occult club, Rias lamented her foolishness in letting the security go, especially since he was the only one who had made her feel love. Akino and Issei shared her sentiments, while Kiba noted the unusual nature of Issei's sword and the danger it exuded. Elsewhere, 2 figures discussed a childhood home, with one showing a photo of herself with 2 other girls. Irina expressed her hope to see Issei again to apologize and perhaps win his heart. Issei returned home, feeling a chill run down her spine. Her mother welcomed her and mentioned that someone had come to see her. Issei approached her mother, and Irina greeted her warmly, asking about Issei. The atmosphere tensed as Issei revealed that he was out with friends. She said it with a hint of nervousness and deceit. Irina expressed her disappointment, while Issei shifted the topic, inquiring about her companion. A newcomer introduced herself as Zenobia Corda, apologizing for her manners. Issei greeted Zenobia warmly, and Zenobia reciprocated the sentiment. Irina mentioned that it was nice to see them again but that they needed to leave. Issei wished Irina well, and Irina asked her to send her regards to Issei. Issei agreed, and at that moment, Irina and Zenobia exited the house. Issei's mother questioned her about the lie, expressing concern over Issei's whereabouts. Issei revealed that he had been at the academy. Her mother pressed for details, asking why he hadn't been brought home. Issei sadly explained that he no longer wanted to return to them. Her mother reassured her, promising that they would recover him and become a family again. End of the chapter. Issei woke up suddenly, feeling disoriented. He had just experienced a strange dream involving Yuma. Drake, his companion, sensed something was off and asked what was wrong. Issei brushed it off, claiming it was just a bad dream. Drake suggested it might have been a nightmare, and Issei agreed, realizing he needed to hurry to avoid being late. A few minutes later, Sasha noticed Issei's troubled expression and asked about it. Hades, his father, echoed her concern. Issei reassured them that it was nothing serious, just a nightmare. Sasha urged him to get ready, and Hades agreed. Hearing this, Issei rushed out, saying goodbye to his parents as he opened the path to the gods. He found himself in a city alley and decided to head to the academy. As he approached the entrance, he noticed two hooded figures exuding a peculiar aura. Drake confirmed they were sent by the faction of angels, leaving Issei curious about their purpose in demon territory. Classes proceeded normally, and Issei was enjoying a meal he had prepared when a girl approached him. Tsubaki asked if he could accompany her to the student council, as Sona wanted to see him. Issei agreed and they walked together. Upon arriving, Sona expressed her relief at seeing him, having been worried about his absence for the past 5 months. Issei apologized for causing her concern. Just then, members of the council entered, accompanied by the two hooded figures. Sona introduced them, explaining they were sent by the church to speak with Sona. Iriana informed them that some holy swords had been stolen by the fallen angels and requested that they not interfere. Sona reassured them that they had nothing to worry about and would not get involved. Irina accepted this and mentioned they would leave to speak with the Grimoire heir, surprised to learn Issei was a demon. Issei corrected her, feeling a bit annoyed, stating he was not a demon. The scene shifted to a confrontation involving Asia, but this time, it was Issei's sister who took the lead in the fight. In the underworld, in the Elysian fields, Issei approached his father, Hades, asking for a favor. He inquired if all souls reached the underworld, to which Hades confirmed they did and explained they were judged afterward. Issei revealed he had been having dreams and wanted to speak with the cause of them. Hades asked for the name of the person, and Issei hesitated before saying it was his first girlfriend, who had tried to harm him but seemed not to want to. Hades understood and went to find her soul. Sasha, curious about where Hades was going, listened as Issei explained his conversation with his father. After some time, Hades returned with a beautiful girl. Issei was about to speak when she interrupted, surprised to see him. Ryanair asked if he was dead, and Issei clarified that he was not. He then recounted everything that had happened since her death. In that moment, Ryanair expressed a desire to confront her former family and the occult club. Issei, with a serious tone, asked why she had played with his feelings. Ryanair, tearful, confessed that she never wanted to hurt him and had truly fallen in love. Issei pressed her for answers, and she revealed she had been forced into her actions by Cockabeel, a member of Grigori, who threatened her life. Feeling compassion, Issei approached her and embraced her, apologizing for judging her and for allowing her to be harmed. Ryanair reassured him that it was not his fault and that she wanted to make the most of their time together now that they had the chance. As she leaned in to kiss him, Issei was taken by surprise. After the kiss, she playfully stated that he should take responsibility for it. Issei admitted it was also his first kiss, which made her happy. He then asked if she wanted to be his girlfriend, and she eagerly agreed, bringing joy to Issei. Ryanair expressed her happiness, revealing that she had always felt alone. Issei promised to protect her, ensuring she would never be alone again. Sasha, overhearing, remarked on Issei's romantic side, while Pandora teased him about having a girlfriend. Feeling embarrassed, Issei introduced Ryanair to his mother and aunt. They welcomed her warmly, and Hades returned, having freed Ryanair from her torment. He introduced himself as the god of the underworld, and Ryanair was taken aback by his presence. Hades, the god of the underworld, stood before them, and Reyna felt a wave of apprehension wash over her. Issei reassured her, telling her not to worry, as Hades meant no harm. Ryanair greeted Hades with a hint of nervousness, addressing him as Hades-sama. The god responded calmly, encouraging her to relax and assuring her that she had no reason to feel anxious. He then told her to call him father from now on, as she was now part of the family. Sasha chimed in, asking to be called mother. Reyna agreed, expressing her hope that they would take care of her parents. Both Sasha and Hades promised to do so, calling her daughter. Changing the subject, Hades inquired about what the demons wanted from Issei. Issei explained that they had come to apologize and wished for him to rejoin their ranks, claiming that his former family was remorseful. Hades scoffed at the notion, stating that humans believed a simple apology could solve everything, which was why he had considered their destruction. Sasha reassured Issei, reminding him that there would always be both good and bad people in the world. Hades nodded in agreement with her sentiment. As the evening grew late, Issei offered to take Sasha to her room. Sasha jokingly expressed her hope that they wouldn't rush into anything, as they were still young and she wasn't ready to be a grandmother. Both Issei and Reyna blushed deeply, resembling ripe tomatoes. Issei exclaimed in surprise, while Sasha chuckled, revealing it was just a joke. They wished each other good night, with Issei promising to see his mother again in the morning. End of the chapter. The next morning at Core Academy, Issei entered with Ryanair, drawing the attention of everyone around them. The former member of the perverted trio was holding hands with the new student, which sparked curiosity among their peers. Ryanair felt uneasy under the gazes of others and expressed her discomfort. Issei reassured her, telling her not to worry. They proceeded to the classroom, where Ryanair waited for the teacher's permission to enter. The teacher announced that there would be a new student joining them. The boys hoped for a girl, while the girls wished for a boy. When the teacher invited the new student in, everyone turned to see a beautiful girl enter, seemingly fulfilling their wishes. The teacher asked the new student to introduce herself. She introduced herself as Amano Yuma and expressed her hope for a good relationship with everyone. A boy immediately asked if she had a boyfriend and if she would go out with him. Yuma replied that she did have a boyfriend and apologized. When asked for her boyfriend's name, she revealed it was Issei Sacristan. All eyes turned to Issei, who felt a bit nervous. Yuma added that if anyone had a problem with her being Issei's girlfriend, they should speak up, her smile suggesting that any negative comments would not be taken lightly. The room fell silent, a chill running down their spines, especially for a certain nun who was shocked to see Yuma alive, recalling that she had been killed long ago. Asia thought to herself that she needed to inform President Rias about this development. Classes continued as usual until break time, when Asia rushed to her club. Yuma expressed her fears to Issei about Asia potentially telling Rias that she was alive, worried about what might happen. Issei comforted her, promising to protect her and assuring her that Rias would not harm a hair on her head. In the occult club, all the members were present when Asia burst in, looking as if she had seen a ghost. Rias and Isami noticed her distress and asked what was wrong. Asia recounted the events from her classroom, explaining how Ryanair had entered Core Academy and claimed to be Issei's girlfriend. Some members tensed up at this news, especially Issei's former sister. Isami expressed her disbelief that Ryanair was still alive, while Rias vowed to confront her, suspecting manipulation of Issei. Aquino agreed, stating that the fallen angel was trying to deceive Issei again. Rias instructed Kiba to fetch Issei. Kiba quickly left to find him. Meanwhile, Issei and Ryanair were under a tree, where Ryanair was feeding Issei. She playfully encouraged him to say, "Ah," and he complied, enjoying the food. Ryanair was pleased to hear Issei compliment her cooking. Their moment was interrupted by Kiba, who informed Issei that Rias wanted to see him. Issei was dismissive, but Kiba insisted he needed to come, threatening to use force if necessary. Issei was not pleased with Kiba's tone and warned him not to insult Ryanair. Ryanair intervened, hugging Issei from behind and calming him down. She reassured him that she was not affected by Kiba's words and suggested they go see Rias to find out what she wanted. Issei warned Kiba that he was fortunate Ryanair was there, or he would have faced dire consequences. The three of them headed to the occult club. Upon their arrival, Issei asked why he had been summoned. Rias stated that she wanted Ryanair, the fallen angel, to step forward. Issei questioned why they wanted his girlfriend. Aquino bluntly stated it was to eliminate her. Issei defended Ryanair, insisting that she was not manipulating him and that he truly loved her. Rias accused Ryanair of lying and trying to harm Issei, just as she had done before. Issei had enough and declared that if that was all they wanted, he would leave with Ryanair. He warned them that if they tried anything against her, they would regret it. With that, Issei and Ryanair left the club, leaving the members shaken by Issei's fierce gaze. The story continued as it originally did, leading to the confrontation with Cockabeel, who was overpowering them. Issei noted their weakness and questioned why they were involved in a battle that did not concern them. Ryanair reminded him that they were facing a cadre, but Issei felt compelled to intervene, not wanting Cockabeel to harm Seraphal's sister. They tormented her alongside her sister, and their followers assisted them. Ryanair understood the situation and noted that Issei wanted to return the favor. Issei admitted that while that was partly true, it was also because they had become important to him. Ryanair agreed, but emphasized that if they were going to act, it needed to be now since that fool had revealed the secret of the three factions. On the battlefield, Cockabeel laughed maniacally, confident that his plan to ignite a new war was about to be fulfilled. Issei appeared on the battlefield alongside Ryanair, and Cockabeel questioned who he was, noticing he was with the traitor Ryanair. Issei replied that he was just someone who would end Cockabeel's life. Cockabeel scoffed at the idea of a mere child being able to kill him, but Issei warned him not to regret it later. Cockabeel claimed it was a pleasure to meet them. Cockabeel ascended into the sky and conjured a massive spear of light, aiming it at everyone. They all closed their eyes, but after a few moments of feeling nothing, they opened them to find a strange armor before them. The armor shattered into pieces, which then fused with Issei. He addressed Cockabeel, suggesting he should have written his will. Cockabeel dismissed Issei's confidence, believing that the armor's protection was not enough. They charged at each other, exchanging blows and kicks. As the fight progressed, Cockabeel began to tire, while Issei showed no signs of fatigue. Cockabeel complimented Issei's skills, to which Issei responded in kind. Cockabeel asked for Issei's name, and he introduced himself as Issei Sacristan. They resumed their battle, but Cockabeel struggled to land a hit on Issei due to his incredible speed, which only frustrated Cockabeel further. In a moment of desperation, Cockabeel launched a series of reckless attacks, allowing Issei to drive his sword into Cockabeel's chest. Cockabeel cried out in pain, feeling an unbearable burning sensation. Issei declared that it was over, to which Cockabeel questioned what he meant. Issei explained that his sword was not ordinary. It carried a curse that would render Cockabeel powerless and leave him in a state of death. Before Cockabeel could respond, the barrier protecting the academy was shattered by a mysterious figure clad in white armor. The figure stated that he was only there for Cockabeel and the exorcist. Issei told him to take them as they were already dead. The stranger approached the bodies of Cockabeel and the exorcist, preparing to leave, but was interrupted by Drake. A conversation ensued between the two dragons, reminiscent of the original story. The figure urged Issei to become stronger for their battle, and Issei echoed the sentiment. The mysterious figure departed as suddenly as he had arrived. Rias approached Issei, expressing her concern for his well-being, but he ignored her and walked over to Ryanair. He told her they could leave now, and she praised him for his performance, giving him a kiss. Isami approached her brother, but they both vanished. Issei expressed her gratitude to her brother, even if he no longer wanted her. The chapter concluded. The next day at the academy, a silver-haired girl was seen at the entrance. She introduced herself as Valerie, claiming to possess the white dragon. Issei was curious about her intentions, while Ryanair asked what she wanted. Valerie dismissed their concerns, implying that they couldn't handle someone as weak as Cockabile. As Valerie approached Issei, she pointed a finger at his forehead, taunting him about his weakness and suggesting she could use magic against him. Issei remained calm, stating that nothing would happen and that it wouldn't be wise to act in front of so many people. Valerie acknowledged his point and asked where he thought he ranked among the strongest. Issei shrugged, saying he didn't care. Valerie noted his incredible power and speculated that he had awakened his balance breaker, estimating he might rank around 1,000. Issei decided it was best to leave, but Valerie remarked that he was important and that Rias Gremory should take better care of him. Turning around, Issei found Rias and her companions. He laughed at the thought of her protecting him. Rias confronted Valerie, expressing their desire to avoid conflict with the fallen angels. Valerie, uninterested in starting a fight, stated she was busy and took her leave, addressing Issei in a friendly manner. This made Valerie blush slightly, but she quickly concealed it and departed. Issei's friend, Issei, asked who Valerie was and what she wanted. Issei brushed it off, saying it was nothing important and suggested they hurry as they were running late. Classes continued normally, with the teachers announcing that family meetings would take place in a week. In the underworld, Sasha greeted the group, asking how their day at the academy went. Issei replied that it went well, and Hades expressed his happiness. Ryanair mentioned the upcoming family meetings, prompting Hades to inquire about their purpose. Issei explained that it was an annual event where parents observed their children's performance. Sasha was excited about attending, wanting to see her son shine. Issei, feeling embarrassed, protested that he wasn't a child anymore. Hades and Sasha teased him, with Hades asking how many people could attend. Issei explained that the whole family could come, but many would leave early due to other children in different classes. Hades expressed curiosity about how much humanity had evolved since he last visited the human world. As Issei prepared to leave for his homework, Sasha wished him well. He and Ryanair headed to their rooms to complete their assignments. Ryanair asked if he was excited about the family meetings, to which Issei admitted he felt a bit nervous. He revealed that his previous parents never attended his events, always focusing on his sister, leaving him unsure of how to feel. Ryanair comforted him, assuring him that his real parents would be there and that she would support him. Grateful, Issei appreciated her words. Days passed normally until the day of the family meetings arrived, and Issei felt anxious. As everyone entered the hall with their parents, Issei worried about how to act when his family arrived. Drake reassured him that he would be there with him and Ryanair. Suddenly, whispers filled the room as people noticed 3 figures at the entrance, 2 women and a man. A professor approached them, asking if he could help. Sasha stated she was there to see her son, while Hades introduced Issei Sacristan and Pandora confirmed she was there for Ryanair Amano. The professor welcomed them and began the activity, instructing the students to create something from clay. As everyone started, Issei was the only one focused. Encouraged by Sasha, he let his hands move freely, and when he revealed his creation, he was surprised by what he had made. The professor praised Issei's talent, and he modestly credited his hands for the work. Ryanair complimented his sculpture, and Issei returned the praise. After class, students gathered in the academy courtyard with their families. Among them, Issei's true family searched for him until they finally spotted him. Before they could approach, a girl named Seraphal greeted him warmly. Issei was surprised to see her and introduced her to Hades, Sasha, and Pandora, explaining they were his real family. Seraphal was confused, having thought his family was the Hyades. Issei firmly stated that they had never been his family and never would be. She spoke with an angry tone. The Hyadu family, who were at a suitable distance to hear, felt their hearts break at what their former son had said. Seraphal expressed her confusion, and Issei responded that it was a long story, suggesting he could share it another day. Sarafal agreed and mentioned it was a pleasure to meet them before stating she would go look for Sunita. Issei bid her farewell, and they prepared to leave when a familiar voice called out to Issei. Isami approached, saying they needed to talk because their parents wanted to see him. His mother urged him to return home, while his father expressed regret for past words. Issei firmly stated he would never go back, emphasizing that he already had a family. His father pleaded for a chance to be a better parent, but Issei interrupted, questioning what would change, pointing out that someone else had been a better father throughout his life. His mother admonished him for speaking to his father that way, while Sasha challenged the notion that his father was the one for her son. Hades intervened, defending his wife and questioning Issei's disrespect. Issei reminded them that they had claimed it was a family conversation, but he no longer considered himself part of that family. Isami attempted to reason with him, but he cut her off, stating they were leaving. Before anyone could respond, they departed, leaving the family shattered by the realization that their former son no longer wanted them. Days passed without change, except that instead of Issei training Gasper, Isami took on that role, and she was also entrusted with the sword Escalon. In the city of Kwa, a figure remarked on Issei being the Red Emperor. Valerie confirmed this and asked for Ophus's opinion. Ophus noted that he was not only handsome but also radiated immense power. Valerie agreed, and Ophus decided to take her leave. Valerie reflected on the upcoming night when the three factions would gather to discuss mundane matters, finding Issei Hayadu to be quite intriguing. End of the chapter. In the Elysian fields of the underworld, in the room of their favorite brown-haired character, a rather strange dream was unfolding. Rias was relieved to find Issei and felt it was important to talk to him. She expressed that it was about his thoughts and the upcoming meeting of the factions. Issei, initially dismissive, questioned the relevance of the meeting to him. Rias explained that after the attack by Kakabil, the three factions would gather at the academy. Since Issei had defeated Kakabil, they needed him to attend. Reluctantly, Issei agreed to go, asking when the meeting would take place. Rias informed him it was scheduled for the night and urged him not to miss it. Ryanair, curious about Issei's feelings, expressed her agreement to attend as well, sensing that something significant was about to happen. That night at Core Academy, a barrier was being formed by all the factions. Assassil announced that everyone was present, but Rias pointed out that they were still missing someone. Sursek and Sarafal inquired about whom she meant, and Rias revealed it was Issei. Michael questioned Issei's relevance to the meeting, and Rias reminded them that he had defeated Kakabil. As Rias recounted the battle, showcasing Issei's impressive victory, the room fell into a stunned silence. Suddenly, a dimensional rift opened, and Issei, along with Ryanair, stepped through. Issei apologized for his tardiness, and Michael suggested they begin the meeting since everyone was now present. As the meeting progressed, Valerie occasionally glanced at Issei, only to quickly look away. Assassil sought opinions from the group, specifically asking Valerie what she desired, peace or war. Valerie stated that she was only interested in facing strong rivals. Assassil pointed out that there was no need for strong rivals, highlighting Issei's presence. Valerie acknowledged this, and when Assassil turned to Issei, he chose peace. Before further discussion could continue, time suddenly froze, affecting everyone except the leaders of the factions, Valerie, Issei, Rias, and Isami, due to their magic. Assassil noted that if their power continued to grow, it would also impact them. Issei was confused, and Rias clarified that they were referring to Gasper, a vampire with the ability to freeze time. Understanding the situation, Rias insisted they could not allow harm to come to Gasper. Sursek agreed to prepare a magical circle for Issei and one other person to rescue him. Isami volunteered to accompany Issei, and Sursek entrusted her to him. They created the magical circle, transporting them to Gasper's location. The events unfolded similarly to the original story, including Katarina's appearance and the confrontation with Assassil, leading to her loss of an arm and Valerie's betrayal. Assassil confronted Valerie about her choice to play dirty, and Valerie admitted to finding a more entertaining side. Assassil pressed her for information about a group called the Cows Brigade, and Sarafal expressed disbelief at the power required to unite so many rebels. Assassel speculated that the leader of this group was Ophis, and Valerie confirmed her affiliation, clarifying that neither she nor Ophis intended to instigate a war. Valerie revealed her true identity as Viri Lucifer, the daughter of the original demon and a human. Rias and Sursek were astonished, realizing the implications of her heritage. Assassel remarked on the unique combination of her lineage and the power she possessed. Valerie challenged Issei, questioning his significance as a mere human with interesting power. Issei acknowledged her point but hinted at having secrets of his own. When pressed, he revealed that his true parents were deities, shocking everyone present. He explained that he was adopted after being cast out by the Gremmery clan and had learned the truth about his origins. Valerie, intrigued, sought clarification, while Ryanair encouraged Issei to share more. He disclosed that his father was Hades, the god of the underworld, and his mother was the ancient reincarnation of Athena, Sasha Sacristan. The group was left in disbelief, realizing that Issei was a demigod. Assassel questioned Issei's intentions, and Issei clarified that he did not plan to defeat his father, as Hades had informed him of his destiny. Michael marveled at the prospect of a demigod wielding the power of the Red Dragon, recognizing Issei as a formidable force. Valerie, undeterred, challenged Issei to fight her. Issei accepted her challenge, summoning his armor, which manifested before him as he prepared for battle. A week had passed since the meeting, and now everyone was gathered in the occult club. Ryanair asked why Azazel had called them together. Azazel got straight to the point, informing them that there would be a meeting with the Nordic faction. Issei questioned what that had to do with him, and Azazel explained that they also wanted to form an alliance with his father. Issei agreed to see if his father would accept, though he made no promises. Ryanair suggested that if that was all, they would take their leave. The two exited the occult club and headed to the underworld. In the Elysian fields of the underworld, Sasha inquired what they needed from them. Hades asked what was so important. Issei explained that the leaders of the factions wanted to form an alliance. Hades wanted to know how that concerned them, and Issei clarified that the leader of the Fallen had mentioned wanting to form an alliance with him as well. Sasha assumed they also wanted to include Olympus. Issei admitted he wasn't sure but repeated what he had been told. Hades decided he would see what the factions desired and asked when the meeting would take place. Issei guessed it would be that week, especially with summer vacation approaching. He added that he and Rei-chan were invited to spend time in the underworld with the Gremmery family. Sasha asked for what purpose, and Ryanair speculated it was to build ties with the demons. Issei agreed that it made sense. The week passed quickly, and everyone was gathered in the occult club, ready to depart, but two people were still missing, Ryanair and Issei. Rias wondered when they would arrive, and Aquino teased that the president seemed eager to see her Issei-kun. Rias blushed and denied it, while Aquino jokingly suggested she could keep him. Just as their playful banter continued, Issei and Ryanair finally arrived, apologizing for their tardiness due to some important matters. Azazel declared they were ready, and everyone was teleported to the underworld, though they actually found themselves on a train. Issei complained about the boredom, and Ryanair reminded him they were on a train. Issei had expected it to be more exciting and wished he could watch Minos judge the arriving souls. Azazel questioned what he meant by judging souls, and Issei clarified that he was referring to the prisons. The group was puzzled by this mention of prisons. Issei explained that the underworld was a place where souls arrived to be judged and sent to their respective prisons, where they would relive their worst torment for eternity. Asia expressed her horror at the thought, and Ryanair confirmed she had been condemned to such a prison. Isami recalled that Ryanair must have died, asking how she was still alive. Ryanair explained that she had indeed died, but thanks to Issei's forgiveness for her crimes, she was alive now. Kaneko wondered if Issei could bring people back from the dead. Issei clarified that he couldn't, but his father could. Azazel found it incredible that someone could be brought back to life. Rias had a question about the souls being condemned, asking if none were saved from suffering. Issei believed some might be. Aquino pressed for clarification, and Issei revealed that there was a paradise in the underworld. Everyone was intrigued by this revelation. Issei urged them to listen as he explained that there was a paradise known as the Elysian Fields, a place where some souls arrived by his father's will, and he lived there. Azazel admitted he hadn't known about such a place. Issei continued, sharing that his mother had been saved by his father because she was the reincarnation of Athena. He recounted the story of how his father had fought against the goddess for control of the earth, and how his mother, along with her brother and friend, had sacrificed themselves. However, his father had saved her because he had fallen in love with her. Rias found the story impressive, while Azazel noted that Issei had mentioned Hades wanting to plunge the earth into darkness. Issei confirmed this was true, but explained that his father's feelings for the former Athena had changed him, and he no longer desired that outcome. Rias felt relieved, realizing that their enemy was not the god of the underworld. As the story unfolded, the scene shifted to the day of the young demons' meeting. Michael announced that everyone was present, but Serzex noted that someone was still missing. Odin inquired who he meant, and Seraphal echoed the question. Serzex replied that it was Hades. The mention of the god of the underworld caused tension among the group, aware of the significance of his presence. Odin asked why they needed the god of the underworld, and Issei confidently answered that it was easy to explain. When Odin asked who he was, Issei introduced himself as Sacristan Issei, the son of Hades. Odin dismissed him as joking, but just then, 3 male figures appeared before Issei, kneeling in respect. One of them greeted him as the young prince, prompting Serzex to ask who they were. They were the 3 judges of the underworld, known as Iacos of Garuda, Minos of Griffin, and Rhadamanthus of Weber. Issei inquired about their presence, curious about what brought them there. Minos explained that they were the escorts of Hades and Sasha. Hades greeted Issei warmly, acknowledging the time that had passed since they last met. Sasha remarked that it had been a while, to which Issei noted that only a week had gone by. Serzex expressed his pleasure at having Hades present, and Hades returned the sentiment. Michael suggested that since everyone was gathered, they should begin the meeting. Hades agreed with the heavenly overlord. However, before anyone could say anything further, an unexpected guest entered the room: Loki, who was known for opposing any attempts at peace. Loki declared his opposition to the meeting, prompting Odin to respond as anticipated. He instructed Loki to return home without facing punishment. Loki, unfazed, laughed and commanded Fenrir to attack. End of the chapter. Minos took charge of the situation, addressing Rhadamanthus and Iacos. He expressed his intent to handle things himself, inviting them to watch. Fenrir, poised to attack everyone present, was suddenly halted as Minos activated his cosmic puppet technique. Loki, confused, questioned what was happening. Minos explained that he was controlling Fenrir, demonstrating his power by subtly moving his hand, causing Fenrir's paw to bend unnaturally. He suggested the possibility of twisting Fenrir's head, leaving everyone in stunned silence at the display of such a technique. Issei, feeling the tension, challenged Loki's divinity, demanding to know if he truly was a god. Loki, irritated, warned Issei to be cautious with his words, addressing him as a mere mortal. Hades, fed up with the unfolding drama, decided to intervene. He confronted Loki, offering him 2 choices: leave peacefully or face death if he chose to stay. Loki laughed at Hades, dismissing him as an inferior being and making a mockery of the threat. In that moment, a powerful aura emanated from Hades, overwhelming everyone present. Hades expressed his anticipation for a worthy opponent, while Loki, sensing the immense power, trembled in fear, struggling to utter a word. "For you?" Loki asked, feeling very frightened. Hades introduced himself as the god of the underworld. Upon hearing this declaration, Loki regretted not choosing the first option, realizing he would now face the wrath of one of the most powerful gods he knew. Hades declared that Loki's punishment for confronting a god would be death, and he would spend eternity in one of his prisons. Loki pleaded for mercy, begging Hades to spare him. Hades, however, expressed his disappointment, stating that he had given Loki a chance, which he had squandered. With a wave of his hand, Hades created a sphere of cosmic energy and hurled it at Loki, who was instantly reduced to nothingness. Witnessing the cruelty of the god, everyone present made a mental note never to anger the god of the underworld. Hades remarked that he had expected a battle of gods, but instead found himself facing someone weak. Even one of his advisors would have put up a better fight. Just then, Sasha appeared, smiling sweetly at Hades and commenting on his actions. Hades turned to find his wife smiling at him, and he knew that nothing good came from that smile. In that moment he felt a true sense of terror. After the incident with the former Norse god, everyone gathered in a room, but in the corner lay an unconscious Hades. Even he could not withstand the fury of a woman. Following the meeting, everyone returned to their respective factions. In the underworld, specifically in the first prison, Loki's soul stood before a tribunal. Loon, one of Minos's soldiers, introduced himself and explained that Loki was in the Court of Silence, where souls who had crossed the river Acheron were judged. Loki demanded to know why he was there, but Loon informed him that he was there for the crimes he committed in life. Loki insisted he had committed no sins and demanded to be released. Loon, unimpressed, informed him that the records showed numerous crimes, including the recent offense of attempting to confront a god, which was well known and punishable by freezing. Therefore, Loki would be sent to the 8th prison, Cocytus, where souls who defied the gods were sent. In an instant, Loki was teleported to Cocytus. Loon sighed, expressing his boredom since Hades married the former Athena, hoping that the peace would last, though he wondered how the new Athena would react. Back with Issei, a day had passed since the peace meeting, but he felt a sense of foreboding. Rainier noticed his concern and asked what was wrong. Issei brushed it off as just a feeling, while Drake suggested it was merely his imagination. Despite their reassurances, Issei decided to remain vigilant. Meanwhile, two figures approached each other. One of them announced that they had found what they were looking for, revealing it was locked away. The other laughed, envisioning chaos and the chance to reign over the world. The next day, a girl introduced herself as Irina Shidu. The boys, except for one, erupted in cheers upon seeing her beauty. Issei lamented that things could not get any worse, while Drake warned him that such words could come true. Later, Issei and Rainier headed to the occult club at Azazel's request. Upon arrival, Azazel informed them of an order from Lucifer. Rias was surprised to hear that her brother had sent an order, and Issei was annoyed, questioning its relevance to him. Azazel explained that all female members of the occult club would have to live with the current Red Emperor. Issei and Rainier were taken aback by this decision, and Issei protested, stating that they could not enter a sacred place like his home, the Elysian Fields, as only those chosen by his father could tread there. Azazel reassured him that his father was in agreement with the arrangement. Issei was shocked, and Rainier demanded to know where they would supposedly live. Azazel led them to a magical circle that transported them to a secluded area of the city, revealing a grand mansion. Everyone was astonished by the sight. Issei marveled at the mansion, while Rainier echoed his sentiments. Azazel explained that it was a gift from Serzex and Michael, and that not only the members of the occult club would be living there, but also others from factions that had signed the peace agreement. Before anyone could respond, a magical circle appeared, and two figures emerged, an albino girl and a girl with black hair. Valerie greeted Issei affectionately, revealing she had come to live with him. Everyone was stunned, and Issei asked about the girl accompanying Valerie. She introduced her as Ophis, the goddess of infinity. Issei was taken aback, noting that she looked like a child, to which Ophis indignantly replied that she was not a child. Valerie then began to explain the situation further. The conversation was interrupted by Ophis. She expressed that she could not live without her dragon. Everyone was taken aback, surprised by her declaration. Issei felt utterly confused and sought clarification on what she meant. Ophis revealed that he was her partner. Issei's confusion deepened, and he wished someone would explain the situation to him. Drake stepped in to clarify, reminding Issei that dragons find their partners through battle. Issei acknowledged this but was still puzzled about its relevance to the current situation. Drake continued, explaining that a female dragon chooses her partner, which meant that Ophis had selected Issei as her companion. Realization dawned on Issei, and he understood that he had been chosen by her. Drake congratulated him, noting that he had won the affection of the goddess of infinity. Issei was left uncertain, torn between feeling happy and experiencing other emotions. Rainier suggested that since there was no other option, they should move forward. Everyone agreed, and that marked the end of the chapter. Everyone felt the overwhelming power, a sense of fear washing over them. Issei was ready to reveal the true strength of the prince of the underworld. As the battle commenced, Valerie attempted to strike Issei, but he evaded her attacks with remarkable ease, showcasing his evident power. Valerie demanded that he stay still, to which Issei complied, preparing for her next move. She launched herself at him, channeling all her strength into her punch. However, to her surprise, Issei stopped her attack effortlessly with just a finger. He countered with a blow that shattered her armor, leaving her unconscious. Issei reflected on the situation, realizing he might have gone too far. After a while, Valerie regained consciousness. Drake pointed out the significance of her defeat, indicating that Issei had just overcome a dragoness. Issei was puzzled, questioning what that meant. Drake explained that it meant he was now officially her partner. Issei was taken aback, wishing he had known that before engaging in battle. Valerie, now aware of her feelings, rushed towards him, but Issei panicked, fearing Rei-chan would be furious. Suddenly, the barrier shattered, and a figure appeared. Biko remarked on Valerie's condition, teasing her about the beating she had received. Valerie acknowledged it and asked Biko why he was there. He informed her that the battle with the Nordic warriors had just begun and that they needed her. Understanding the urgency, Valerie bid Issei farewell, promising they would meet again. Both of them vanished through a magical circle created by Biko. Issei decided to leave as well, asking Rei-chan if she was coming. She confirmed, and together they departed through the same dimension they had arrived in. End of the chapter. The next day, the sun's rays gently touched Issei's face, waking him from his slumber. He groaned about the sun's brightness, wishing he could somehow banish it. Drake greeted him with a cheerful, "Good morning," and Issei returned the sentiment. As he attempted to rise, he noticed the reason for his reluctance to get up. Rainier was cuddled up to him on one side, while Valerie was on the other, and Ophis was nestled against his chest. Issei was taken aback by the sight. Rainier greeted him affectionately, and Valerie chimed in with her own cheerful morning wishes. Ophis added her sweet greeting, calling him her little dragon. Issei, still trying to process the situation, asked what they were doing in his room. Valerie responded that it was obvious they were sleeping with their beloved. Ophis agreed, and Issei suggested they all get up. The girls readily agreed. A short while later, the four of them made their way to the living room, where the others were gathered. Isami remarked on their late wake-up, and Rias suggested they head to the academy. Issei told them to go ahead while he and the girls had breakfast, promising to catch up later. Rias nodded and left with the others. After breakfast, as Rainier and Issei prepared to leave for school, Pandora appeared unexpectedly. She greeted Issei warmly and asked how he was adjusting to his new home. Issei admitted he was still getting used to it. Rainier interrupted, reminding Issei that they were running late. He apologized to Pandora, promising to talk later, and she waved them off with understanding. Classes proceeded normally. Meanwhile, in another location, a conversation unfolded about Hades wanting to end the Holy War. Layla expressed skepticism about Hades' intentions, fearing it might be a trap. Mi mentioned that Hades had a son with his previous reincarnation, which piqued Layla's interest. She contemplated arranging a meeting with Hades, while Kadia and Mi agreed it was a good idea, though they reminded Layla that Hades remained their enemy. Back with Issei, he felt a sense of foreboding. Rainier noticed his unease and asked if something was wrong, but he reassured her there was nothing to worry about. He suggested they have a date the next day, hoping nothing would disrupt their plans. Rainier playfully called him silly, and they agreed to head back inside as their break was nearly over. After a long day of classes, Azazel gathered everyone to start the next session. Rias questioned why he was sitting in her chair, and Azazel admitted it was too comfortable to resist. He then announced the upcoming raiding game between Rias and Diodora Astaroth, explaining that the Chaos Brigade would make their move, and they would receive assistance from the heavens and the Nordic faction. Just then, a bright light filled the room, revealing Irina, who had been sent by Michael to strengthen the alliance. The following day, Issei took Rainier out on their date, treating her to a luxurious restaurant where he had made a reservation. After dinner, they visited an amusement park, enjoying all the rides, and finally, Issei took her to a mountain overlook where they could see the entire city. Rainier found the view beautiful, and Issei agreed. She confessed her love for him, and he reciprocated, expressing how much she meant to him. They leaned in closer until their lips met in a sweet kiss. Realizing it was getting late, Issei suggested they head home, and Rainier agreed. As they walked home, they encountered a silver-haired girl. Issei recognized her as the girl who had been with Odin. She turned to him and confirmed her identity, asking if he was Hades' son. Issei introduced himself as Ise, and she introduced herself as Rosswise, explaining she had been sent to strengthen the alliance but had gotten lost. Rainier invited her to join them, and Ross agreed. Soon, they arrived at the mansion where Issei and the others lived. He told Ross to choose a room and make herself comfortable. After thanking him, Ross settled in while Issei thought about how he might need to remodel the house in the future. He decided to take a shower, and after a refreshing wash, he emerged relaxed. Suddenly, a portal opened in his room, and Hades, Sasha, and Pandora stepped through. Issei was surprised to see his father. End of the chapter. Issei called out to his father. Hades greeted him warmly, asking how he had been. Issei hesitated, mentioning that he was not alone due to certain people living with him. Hades had already suspected as much. Sasha, Issei's mother, chimed in, saying they had come to visit. Hades explained that the reason for his visit was to inform Issei that they would be going to Greece in 2 days. Issei was curious about the trip. Hades reminded him of the many battles he had fought with Athena. Issei immediately worried that Hades intended to start another holy war. Hades reassured him that, on the contrary, he wanted to make peace with her. Issei felt relieved but was confused about how this involved him. Sasha clarified that they would be going as a family, and it would be like a vacation. Issei agreed but expressed concern about the academy. Pandora, his aunt, assured him that everything was already taken care of. At that moment, Rainier entered the room, stopping short when she saw everyone gathered. She greeted her parents and sensed she might be interrupting something. Sasha quickly reassured her that they were just finishing up. The family left, but not before Sasha reminded Issei to take Rainier with him. 2 days later, Issei's family said their goodbyes. Azazel reminded Issei to prepare for the raiding game against Diodora, which was scheduled for the following week. Issei assured him he would be back in time as they stepped through the portal. Upon arriving in Greece, Issei marveled at the incredible surroundings. Hades remarked on how long it had been since he had visited. Sasha reminisced about her old friends, while Rainier noted that it was her first time there. Before they could say more, they were surrounded by several knights who demanded to know who they were and stated that the area was off-limits. Hades warned them not to spill blood, but one knight mocked him and prepared to attack. Just then, a voice called out, halting the knight. Riki, the current saint of Ares, informed the knights that they were guests of Layla-sama. The knights quickly apologized and stepped aside. Riki introduced herself and offered to take them to Layla-sama. They nodded and followed her. After a brief walk, Riki stopped in front of a door and knocked. She announced their arrival, and Layla instructed them to enter. The doors opened, revealing Layla, who greeted Hades. Hades acknowledged the time that had passed since they last met and asked to speak with her privately. Layla led them to a room where they could sit. Hades got straight to the point, stating that he wanted to end the holy war. Layla was taken aback, never expecting Hades to seek peace. She asked what had changed his mind. Hades explained that something had happened during their last conflict that shifted his perspective. When Layla pressed for details, Hades revealed that he had fallen in love. He pointed to Sasha, introducing her as his wife, and then indicated Issei and Rainier as his son and daughter-in-law. Layla expressed her surprise at Hades forming a family, especially with her previous reincarnation. Hades reflected on how unpredictable fate could be. Layla agreed and accepted his proposal to end the war. Hades then requested a favor, explaining that they had encountered some issues and wished to stay for a family vacation. Layla saw no problem with this and granted them permission to stay. Hades thanked her but warned her to be cautious of the Chaos Brigade, mentioning he had heard rumors about them. Layla acknowledged the threat and promised to keep it in mind as Hades and his family left her presence, leaving her deep in thought. Meanwhile, Issei and his family, after leaving Athena's temple, explored various locations. Issei and Rainier were amazed by the sights, having never traveled beyond Qua. A week passed, and Issei and Rainier returned to Qua while their parents chose to stay in Greece a bit longer. Issei expressed his surprise that his mother and Aunt Pandora managed to convince his father to extend their stay. Rainier had anticipated it, but Issei admitted he also wanted to stay longer. They both agreed to see what awaited the BGMI family. They headed to the Occult Research Club, where everyone was gathered. Issei greeted them, and Azazel noted their return. Rias informed everyone that it was time to leave, and they were teleported to the game location. Issei asked Azazel what their plan was, to which Azazel revealed that they would be facing a member of the Chaos Brigade. Issei realized that the raiding game was merely a facade and that Diodora was likely involved with them. Once the group arrived at the combat area, they began strategizing when Diodora appeared, laughing ominously. Rias questioned his intentions, but Diodora summoned soldiers from the Chaos Brigade, interrupting her. An attack struck the ground, creating a cloud of smoke that obscured the BGMI group. When the smoke cleared, they found Asia unconscious in Diodora's arms. Diodora smirked, pleased with his success. Zenobia demanded he release her, but Diodora taunted them, suggesting they come to retrieve her at his castle, pointing to a distant structure. Issei charged at Diodora, but he vanished through a portal, taking Asia with him. Issei shouted out for Asia, desperate to save her. The chapter concluded. Issei called out for Asia, filled with urgency. Rias reassured her, promising that they would rescue their friend. In her thoughts, Rias vowed that Diodora would pay for this. Aquino asked Rias what their next move was, and Rias firmly stated that they needed to go after Asia. The BGMI group ventured deeper into the castle to save their companion. Meanwhile, outside the dimension of the occult club, Issei learned from Azazel that Diodora was with the Chaos Brigade. Issei expressed his frustration, realizing that his girlfriend Valerie had informed Azazel of their situation. Azazel suggested that if Issei wanted to help, he should be aware that a large army awaited them. Rainier remarked that they would have to save their backs as well. Azazel assigned the task to them, mentioning that Rosswise and Irina were already on the battlefield, urging them to go. With a wave of his hand, Azazel created a magic circle that teleported Issei and Rainier to the battlefield, where they were immediately surrounded by soldiers. Issei found the situation intriguing, while Rainier agreed. A soldier questioned their identity but quickly dismissed it, declaring that they would die regardless. Rainier silenced him by launching a spear of light, striking him down. The remaining soldiers charged at them, but Issei activated his gauntlet, enhancing his abilities. With a powerful shout, Issei unleashed a torrent of energy from his gauntlet, disintegrating the soldiers in an instant. He declared that they were ready to move on, and Rainier nodded in agreement as they began walking. Issei sensed more enemies approaching, and Rainier confirmed his instincts. He instructed them to reveal themselves, and more soldiers emerged, launching an attack. Rainier found the soldiers bothersome, sending multiple spears of light toward them, while Issei continued to disintegrate their foes. Back with the BGMI group, they found themselves inside the castle, faced with multiple paths. Issei turned to Rias, seeking direction. Before anyone could respond, a voice echoed through the hallway, taunting them. Diodora revealed that to save Asia, they would first have to defeat his servants. He offered a twisted advantage, indicating that one of the doors ahead led to Asia, challenging them to choose wisely. Zenobia asked Rias what their plan was, and Rias decided they should split up. Aquino expressed concern about the danger, but Rias insisted it was their only option. They each chose a different door, unaware of what awaited them on the other side. Aquino walked through her door, only to be ambushed by several soldiers. One soldier commented on her beauty, affirming that Diodora had been right about encountering lovely women. Akino, with a playful demeanor, welcomed the challenge, ready to entertain herself. As the soldiers charged at her, she laughed and unleashed bolts of lightning from her hands, striking them down instantly. She teased them, questioning if they had tired so quickly. Suddenly, a voice interrupted her, expressing surprise at encountering the lightning priestess. Akino turned to confront her new opponent, who introduced himself as Ural, the queen of Diodora. Ural expressed a desire to continue their conversation, but regrettably stated that she must defeat Akino. Akino changed into her priestess outfit, feeling ready for the challenge. Ural took a combat stance, and they both charged at each other, exchanging kicks and punches while casting spells. Minutes passed, and Akino felt she was gaining the upper hand, believing victory was within her grasp. However, as the battle resumed, Akino sensed a decline in her strength, which Ural took advantage of to launch an attack that Akino barely managed to dodge. Ural taunted her, questioning where her earlier confidence had gone. Akino, confused by her sudden weakness, thought to herself that Ural had been weaker moments ago, as if her own strength was fading away. As they continued to fight, Akino noticed that Ural's power seemed to grow with each passing moment. Ural laughed maniacally, claiming her victory was assured. Akino, breathing heavily, questioned Ural's confidence. Ural responded with a cryptic remark, suggesting Akino was unaware of the true situation. The battle raged on, and Akino felt herself weakening further while Ural's strength increased. Akino realized that Ural's magic was somehow absorbing her own. In a moment of clarity, Akino launched a lightning bolt at Ural, which was absorbed by a pendant around Ural's neck. Understanding the source of her troubles, Akino resolved to destroy the pendant. With renewed determination, Akino charged at Ural again, this time managing to shatter the pendant. Instantly, she felt her strength and magic return. Ural, realizing her secret was exposed, cursed and attempted to flee. However, Akino unleashed a lightning strike that incapacitated Ural, causing her to dissolve into particles. Feeling exhausted, Akino hoped her friends were safe as she began to walk toward the exit of the room. Meanwhile, Issei and Kaneko faced a group of hooded figures who threatened them, claiming a reward awaited if they defeated the two. Kaneko remained unfazed, stating they would see about that. The hooded figures surrounded them, running in a circle and confusing the girls. Before they could react, multiple attacks struck them from all directions, sending them crashing into a wall. As they regained their footing, Issei wondered what had just happened, while Kaneko noted they had been attacked from all sides. The hooded figure taunted them, readying for battle. Issei and Kaneko prepared their strongest attacks, with Kaneko tapping into her Nico side and Issei activating her magic. The fight commenced, and as it progressed, the hooded figures began to lose ground, one by one disappearing into particles. Elsewhere, Zenobia faced a strange individual who identified himself as Yugi, a knight of Diodora. When he refused to let her pass, both took combat stances, with Zenobia summoning Durandal and Yugi wielding two swords. The clash of metal echoed in the room as they fought fiercely. Outside the castle, a man with a large beard observed the chaos, noting the arrival of more soldiers. Rosswise asked if she should handle them, but Odin, enjoying the spectacle, decided to intervene himself. As the soldiers charged, Odin unleashed a massive wave of energy, eliminating them instantly and relishing the thrill of battle. Meanwhile, Issei and Rainier approached the castle entrance, both feeling an ominous premonition. In the underworld, Hades and Sasha confronted a deity from Olympus. The intruder criticized Hades for marrying one of his enemy's reincarnations, provoking Hades' ire. The intruder threatened to harm Hades' son, prompting a fierce warning from Hades. The mysterious figure laughed, hinting at future plans, before vanishing, leaving Hades seething with anger and concern over Ares' intentions. End of the chapter. Chapter end. Back with Issei and Rainier. They were walking through the castle when they came across a door. Upon entering, they discovered the bodies of the queen, the knight, and Diodora's pawns. Rainier acknowledged the scene, noting the fallen foes. Issei recognized them as Diodora's servants and felt a strange energy emanating from the bodies, which puzzled him. Rainier noticed Issei's unease and asked if he was all right. He reassured her but couldn't shake the ominous feeling that lingered. As they continued, they encountered more of Diodora's pieces, each radiating a faint energy. Meanwhile, Rias and her group had nearly defeated all of Diodora's pieces and stood before the last one, eager to confront Diodora directly and rescue their companion, Asia. However, this final enemy was a familiar threat, a mad priest who had caused them trouble since the beginning of their journey. Kiba recognized Fried Selsend and was not surprised to see him again. Fried taunted them, declaring that this would be their last encounter. Kiba volunteered to handle Fried alone, with Rias expressing her trust in him. As the others moved on, Kiba prepared for battle. Fried transformed into a monstrous form, startling Kiba, who remained undeterred and drew his demonic holy sword. The two clashed, their swords ringing out as they exchanged blows. The fight escalated, and Kiba sustained some injuries, but he pressed on, attacking with renewed skill and managing to wound Fried. During the battle, Kiba noticed a strange object hanging from Fried's neck, sensing its immense power. Determined to destroy it, Kiba focused on the object, dodging Fried's attacks. After several tense moments, he found the perfect angle and shattered the object. A strange red energy erupted from it, filling the room and causing Kiba to wonder about its nature. Fried, having lost his power, began to revert to his human form. Seizing the opportunity, Kiba swiftly ended Fried's threat with a decisive blow. With Fried defeated, Kiba rushed to rejoin his companions. Meanwhile, Issei and Rainier were making their way toward the Gremory group when they noticed a red energy surge past them. Issei felt a sense of urgency, recognizing the same energy from the bodies they had encountered. Rainier, sensing his tension, urged him to hurry. They raced to find the Gremory group, arriving to see them injured and Asia chained to a cross. Diodora taunted them, but Issei acted quickly, invoking his sword and freeing Asia in a flash, handing her to Rainier. He instructed the group to escape. Rainier understood the gravity of the situation and led the Gremory group out of the castle. Outside, they encountered Odin, Irina, Rosswise, Azazel, and others. Rosswise inquired about Issei's whereabouts, and Rainier informed them he was still fighting Diodora. Just then, an explosion erupted, and Issei emerged unscathed. Moments earlier, as Issei prepared to face Diodora, another figure arrived, radiating the same energy. The newcomer introduced himself as Shalva Belzebu, stating that he had come to investigate. Shalva swiftly eliminated Diodora, unleashing a wave of energy that destroyed the castle. Rias asked Issei about Diodora, and he confirmed the priest's demise. Rainier expressed her relief, but Issei insisted it was not over. Surzex prompted Issei to explain everything that had transpired, revealing the surprising alliance between the ancient faction of demons and the Chaos Brigade. Before they could discuss further, a strange being appeared, emanating an unusual energy. Issei regarded the figure seriously, recognizing the same energy as before, leading him to suspect this being was also aligned with the Chaos Brigade, possibly its leader. Surzex demanded to know who he was. The being introduced himself as Ares, the god of war. Issei realized Ares was the one who had shared his energy with Diodora's group. Ares admitted it was a waste of power, prompting shock from Surzex. Issei confronted Ares, asking what he wanted. Ares claimed he had no special agenda and attacked. Issei, determined to handle the situation, insisted everyone else leave. As they departed, Ares mocked Issei's desire to keep his death private. Issei summoned his armor and charged at Ares, initiating a fierce battle filled with cosmic energy blasts and powerful strikes. The clash continued, each combatant pushing their limits in an intense showdown. Issei stood at the edge of the training ground, determination etched on his face. He had been training relentlessly, pushing himself to become stronger. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows as he prepared for his next challenge. His friends gathered around him, their expressions a mix of encouragement and concern. They knew the stakes were high, and Issei was determined to prove himself. As he focused on his breathing, he could feel the energy around him, a palpable force that fueled his resolve. With a deep breath, Issei launched into his training regimen, executing each move with precision and power. He felt the rush of adrenaline as he pushed his limits, envisioning the strength he sought. Each strike was a testament to his growth, and with every passing moment, he felt closer to achieving his goals. As the training session progressed, Issei's body began to tire, but his spirit remained unyielding. He recalled the faces of those he fought for, the bonds he cherished, and the dreams he aimed to fulfill. This motivation drove him to continue, to rise above the challenges that lay ahead. The sun dipped below the horizon, and the training ground was bathed in twilight. Issei, exhausted yet exhilarated, knew that this was just the beginning. With newfound strength and unwavering determination, he was ready to face whatever came next. It seems that the text provided is incomplete. Please provide a more detailed excerpt or the full text that needs editing, and I will be happy to assist you in making it suitable for YouTube. Breathing heavily, Ares felt strong. He acknowledged his opponent with a hint of disdain. Once again, they would resume their battle, and once again, the brown-haired fighter found himself unable to land a single blow, which only fueled his frustration. Ares launched an attack, and the brown-haired fighter countered with a combined dragon shot, but it was futile. Ares's attack overpowered his opponent's, shattering it and striking him, creating a cloud of smoke and a significant crater. Meanwhile, the leaders were in a different location. Rainier felt a wave of anxiety wash over her, sensing that something terrible was about to happen to her beloved. Unable to bear the thought, she spread her wings and flew toward the battlefield. Issei questioned her destination, but Rainier was determined to reach her boyfriend, believing he needed her. Rias insisted on accompanying her, but Rainier refused. Cerzex intervened, declaring it too dangerous for Rias to go. Despite her protests, he stood firm, and Rias reluctantly accepted his decision. With that, Rainier took flight, determined to reach Issei. She reassured herself as she soared through the sky, promising Issei that she was on her way. Back at the battlefield, Issei lay injured in the crater, with Ares looming over him. Ares expressed his disappointment, calling Issei pathetic. Just then, a worried voice pierced the air. Rainier cried out for Issei as she rushed to his side, cradling him in her lap. She glared at Ares, demanding to know what he had done to her boyfriend. Ares, unfazed, simply told her to inform Issei to return stronger when he awoke before vanishing from the scene. Hours later, Issei was resting in a room at the BGMI mansion, with Rainier by his side, anxiously waiting for him to wake. Azazel entered, inquiring about Issei's condition. Rainier admitted she didn't know, as he still hadn't regained consciousness. Azazel remarked on the unexpected alliance between a god and the Chaos Brigade, acknowledging the situation had escalated to a new level. Back at the battlefield, a cloaked figure surveyed the area where Issei and Ares had fought. The figure picked up a fragment of Issei's glove, contemplating its significance. With a sense of purpose, the figure departed the scene, leaving the remnants of the battle behind. End of the chapter. Days passed, and the brown-haired boy remained unconscious from his battle against the god Ares, causing concern for his girlfriend and parents. 2 days later, Issei lay in the same room, still unconscious, while Rainier held him tightly. She thought to herself that she desperately needed him to wake up. Outside the room, members of the BGMI clan and Azazel waited anxiously for him to regain consciousness. Issei silently wished for her brother to wake up. In Issei's subconscious, he conversed with Drake about the events of 2 days prior. Drake remarked that Issei had been easily defeated, to which Issei admitted he hadn't even used all his power. Drake expressed a strange feeling about Ares, and Issei shared his own unease. Drake suggested that Issei should return to the real world, as Rainier and the others were worried about him. Issei realized they had been talking for 2 days and was surprised that Drake hadn't informed him sooner. As their conversation ended, Issei faded from Drake's view, and the dragon settled down to rest. Meanwhile, in the real world, Issei slowly opened his eyes, which caught the attention of Rainier, who rushed to him, sobbing with joy. She expressed her relief that he had awakened, and Issei asked where they were. Rainier reassured him that they were in the BGMI mansion, and she confessed her fear of losing him again. Issei embraced her, promising he would never leave her side, which made Rainier blush. She kissed him tenderly, filled with love. As they exited the room, Issei was the first to react, rushing toward Issei with the intention of hugging him. However, he sidestepped, causing her to collide with the wall. After she got up, she approached Issei again, but he and Rainier left the area, leaving her feeling dejected. Issei lamented that Issei would never forgive her. Days passed, and everything seemed to return to normal, except in an unknown location. Ares spoke with a hooded figure who had retrieved a fragment of the booster gear. Ares revealed that they only needed one more test subject to obtain the energy they required. The figure offered to find the individual, but Ares clarified that he already had someone in mind, Rias Gremory, the younger sister of Mao Lucifer. Ares planned to set her against the son of Hades, hoping they would destroy each other. He noted that Rias was in love with the son of Hades, which would complicate matters due to her fiancé, Razor Phoenix. Ares assured the figure that he would handle Razor, instructing him to focus on ensuring Rias confronted the son of Hades. Meanwhile, Rias sat alone in the occult club, signing documents and feeling bored. She wished for Issei's forgiveness and contemplated her relationship with Razor, lamenting that her dreams seemed unattainable due to her past mistakes. Suddenly, the door opened, and a brown-haired figure entered, approaching Rias. She felt nervous as he got closer. This was a false Issei, who declared his affection for her, dismissing Rainier. Rias, unsure of how to respond, instinctively embraced him, blushing. The false Issei found it easier than he expected. Outside the club, Issei and Rainier were on their way to retrieve a notebook they had forgotten during their last visit when they encountered Gasper, who looked terrified. Rainier asked what was wrong, but Gasper, frightened, hid in his box, trembling. Rainier pulled him out, and he protested, claiming that Issei was bad. Issei was confused, wondering what he had done this time. Gasper explained that a different Issei had entered the club and seemed to have malicious intentions toward Rias. Upon hearing this, Issei and Rainier rushed to the main room, where they found Rias being embraced by the false Issei, who smiled maliciously at their arrival. In response, Rias unleashed a destructive attack, obliterating the club and alarming everyone still present at the academy. Hours later, everyone gathered at the mansion, including the leaders and Rias's parents. Azazel confirmed that another version of Issei had taken Rias. Rainier insisted that the one they had seen was not the real Issei. Surzex emphasized the importance of rescuing Rias, while Azazel questioned where she might be. Ajuka suggested tracking her king piece, and Surzex instructed him to proceed. After several hours, Ajuka returned from a magical circle, having located Rias. However, he revealed that she was in a dimensional rift, a place where none of them could survive, only a god could. The group felt despair at the thought of Rias being in danger, realizing that only Issei, the son of Hades, might be able to help. Surzex and Rias's parents approached Issei, who was distracted by his phone. Surzex addressed him, but Issei expressed his disinterest in Rias's well-being, stating he did not care about her life. Venelana pleaded with him to save Rias, hoping he would reconsider. The girl spoke with tears in her eyes, pleading for help. She knew that what her daughter had done to him was unforgivable, but she begged him to save her. Surzex expressed his gratitude, telling Issei that if he helped, he would be forever thankful. Issei took several minutes to think, torn by doubt. After all, she had nearly killed him. Leaving her to die would mean they were even, but he also felt grateful to her because if she hadn't betrayed him, he would never have met his parents or the most important person in his life, his girlfriend. He decided he would help. Venelana thanked him profusely, promising her eternal gratitude. Issei then stated he would only help under one condition. Surzex assured him he would agree to anything. Issei requested that all members of Rias's entourage, except for Roswise, Valerie, and Ophis, leave the house. Zeoticus agreed, willing to do anything for his daughter. Venelana commented on how unfortunate it was that Rias had let a good guy like him slip away, expressing sympathy for her daughter and good fortune for Rainier. Issei approached Ophis, asking her to take him to the dimensional rift. She agreed as it was for her Issei. Once they arrived, he began searching for Rias. When he found her, she donned a false armor, and the battle commenced. Drake noted a hint of cosmos emanating from her. Issei recognized it as the same energy as Ares and dodged an attack from Rias, realizing things were getting interesting. They clashed, their energies colliding and creating powerful waves that shook the dimension. Issei worried that if this continued, Rias would perish. Drake asked what he planned to do. Issei was uncertain but knew he had to incapacitate her and sought Drake's advice. Drake suggested he fight using his armor combined with Drake's energy. Issei agreed, invoking the armor his father had given him and merging it with Drake's power. He charged at Rias, and this time, the difference in their strength was overwhelming. Rias couldn't even touch him, and the little cosmos Ares had granted her was ineffective. Rias let out a fierce scream, releasing some cosmos from her body and combining it with destructive energy, launching it at Issei. He effortlessly deflected it with one hand. He then charged at Rias again, who was caught off guard. Her armor was completely destroyed, leaving her vulnerable and confused. Rias asked what had happened and where they were. Issei reassured her that everything was over. She expressed her gratitude for being saved. Issei, indifferent, suggested they return. He opened a portal, and they crossed through it. Upon returning, Rias's family embraced her, while Rainier rushed to Issei and kissed him. Issei hoped they would honor their agreement. He and Rainier then vanished, leaving a bewildered Rias behind. Rias questioned what the deal was, and Surzex began to explain. Minutes later, Rias was seen crying, consoled by her mother and the others, who were also in distress. Rias lamented that they had ruined her chance to be with him. Surzex candidly told her that Issei didn't want anything to do with them. Rias protested, but Zeoticus firmly ordered that they would no longer live in Issei's house. Resigned, the girls formed a magical circle towards the mansion, and once they arrived, each retreated to pack their belongings. An hour later, the girls who were leaving departed, leaving Issei and Rainier alone. Roswise was absent, having been called to Asgard by Odin, and Valerie and Ophis were with the Chaos Brigade. Rainier entered the kitchen to prepare a meal. After they finished eating, they moved to the living room to watch a movie. They leaned closer and shared a loving kiss. After several minutes, they pulled away, breathless, but soon resumed kissing, this time with more passion. Issei lifted Rainier like a princess and carried her to his room. Once inside, they separated from the kiss, both breathing heavily and blushing, as it was their first time in such an NTMT situation. Issei asked if she was sure she wanted to proceed, and Rainier affirmed her certainty. They resumed their passionate kiss, deepening their connection. Issei enjoyed the moment, expressing how delightful it was to be with Rainier. In a swift motion, she playfully pushed him onto the bed and removed his pants, leaving him in his boxers. As she took in the sight, she was surprised by his size, wondering if it would fit. Without hesitation, she began to inch closer, and Issei let out soft sounds of pleasure. After a few minutes, Rainier skillfully continued, and Issei was overwhelmed by the sensations. They shared this NTMT moment for a while until he could no longer hold back. He felt a rush of excitement as they reached a peak of pleasure together. Rainier tasted the bittersweet aftermath, finding it oddly addictive. She then announced that it was time for the main event, positioning herself above him. With care, she aligned herself and felt a wave of sensation wash over her, prompting a soft gasp. Issei encouraged her with a gentle kiss, helping her focus on the moment as she adjusted. After a few minutes, Rainier began to move her hips slowly, and soon the room was filled with her soft sounds of delight. As time passed, they shifted positions, and Issei took control, eliciting more gasps from Rainier. The sounds of their shared experience filled the room as they continued to explore each other. After a while, Rainier reached a peak of bliss, and they took a brief pause before diving back into their passionate connection. They switched positions again, and the atmosphere was charged with their shared excitement. Eventually, they both reached their limits, expressing their desires for one another. Exhausted but fulfilled, they collapsed onto the bed, savoring the moment together. Days passed since their first experience, and Issei and Rainier grew closer. Meanwhile, the Gremry group had been trying to earn Issei's forgiveness since leaving his home, But nothing seemed to work, as he was indifferent to their efforts. In a distant cave, Ares was engaged in conversation with someone who had been sealed away for a long time. The figure inquired about their release, and Ares assured them it would be soon, once they gathered the necessary elements. They discussed the powers they had obtained, including that of Ophis and the formidable Gran Rojo, thanks to recent events. However, they still needed the energy from the yokai Yasaka and her sister Ahiri, along with the crucial energy of the Triexa. Meanwhile, far from the cave, a stunning woman stood in a grand castle, her beauty captivating anyone who laid eyes on her. Beside her was a small girl, clinging to her leg, who sensed her mother's unease. The woman expressed her concern, sharing that she had a troubling premonition. The chapter concluded, leaving a sense of anticipation for what was to come. This is the final chapter of this season. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for the support this story has received. See you next time. Future Theory, Kurumi in DxD.